Maybe it'll get me back on the derech. Okay, so basically we are in the Obed Yom Mashiach. Shares in memory Le'ilu Nishmas my father Menachem Ben Akiva. Shidduch, good shidduch for everybody. We don't have time, so everybody should see Yitzchak Meir Ben Michal. Over Shirley Baba Sestov. What? Shmuel Ben Yerim. Weiter. So, since we are learning today, we're going to learn all about the bathhouse, other halachas about washing, sneas, when you wash, all kinds of interesting halachas. So let's hit it. Let's go. We are 4 lines from the bottom of the page, actually 3 lines from Mem Amud Beis. Mem Amud Beis, 3 lines. Omar Abizeira. So before we continue, we should know that there is one of the reasons why one is not allowed to swim on Shabbos. Definitely not allowed to swim on Shabbos in a river, because that's a Meforsha Mishnah in Beitza, in Daf Lamed Vav Amud Beis. You know, there are all kinds of exeres. For example, not to climb a tree, not to ride on an animal, and all that. One of the, because you may come to do this, you may come to do that. The reason why one should not swim on Shabbos in the river or in the sea is because you may come to create a raft. You may come to create a small boat, like a small canoe, a boat. It's not so hard to create it. You cut here and there a piece of wood, so you'll be boiner. To start from scratch is also even by kalim. You're not allowed to build a kli from the beginning, yeah? Or makebe patish. You're going to be building something, and therefore don't swim in a river thing. Yeah, you're going to start drowning. You're going to, right, start and build something. Go to the side and quickly build some kind of little boat, a dinghy, whatever it's called, yeah, canoe. And therefore, that because of that, you're not allowed to swim on Shabbos. And the other reason, definitely not in a river. Now, the other reason is if it's in Roshus Harabim or even Carmelis, you're actually, let's say, whatever, you may be in Roshus HaYochid, let's say the area you're in, like a pool, is in Roshus HaYochid, and when you swim, the droplets, they fly out into Roshus Harabim, right? Things like that, that can also happen. These are the 2 concerns. Having said that, let's start the Gemara. Amar Abzera. Abzera says, Rabbi Abo. I saw Rabbi Abo, Dishat be'ambati. I saw him like floating in the bath, like in the bathtub, which is not a river, not even a big pool, or like a bathtub, whatever it was on Shabbos. Lo yadana, I didn't know, I okar, iloy okar. I didn't know if he disconnected or did not disconnect his feet. In other words, he probably saw like his head and the top part of the body like floating, but you don't know what's down there. I don't know if he was like basically completely, he detached himself from the ground, which is called halachically swimming, or maybe he was just walking in that bathtub, in the mikveh in the bathtub with his feet on the ground and floating above. That's a big difference, because one of them is called swimming, the other one is not. You're allowed to walk in the water in the bathtub, yeah, but you're not allowed to swim there. Let's assume you're not allowed to, maybe, we don't know, but yeah. Did he swim or didn't he swim? I didn't notice, I didn't see. So I want to know what the halacha is regarding a bathtub. Soon we're going to see what the question is, but factually, I'm not sure if he was properly swimming, floating, or just like walking in the bathtub. What's your question? Pshita deloy okar. Clearly, I'm sure, says the Gemara, that he did not disconnect his feet. This is Rabbi Abo, the Tanya. It says in the Brisa, Lo yoshut odem bebrecha melea mayim va'afilo medes b'chotzer, which means not only not allowed to swim in a river or the sea. If that's your question, no. Even in a brecha, what's a brecha? Like in modern Hebrew, pool. Brecha, yeah, brecha tzchia. You're not allowed to swim in a pool full of water, even if it's inside the chotzer reshus hayochid. Why? Because although it's all inside, you have a private pool inside the reshus hayochid. Most of our pools are. You're not allowed to swim there, even though if you swim, then the water are not going to fly to a different reshus. It's all reshus hayochid. And although this is not a river, but the gzera of you may come to build a little boat, they did extend that gzera even to a closed swimming pool. So if that's your question, it's only a bathtub, what's the question? That's been already sorted out. In other words, you're trying to ask, was gzera only regarding big river in nature, river or sea, or also a man-made water tank? It's a Meforsha Brisa. So what's your question? It's usher. They extended the gzera even to a pool. Answers the Gemara, loy kasha. No, even within swimming pools, there yesh v'yesh. Some are different to others. The leis legidudi, which means we're not talking here about a swimming pool, nice like the ones we imagine, all tiled inside. We're talking about something more primitive where inside the walls are all mud and dirt. Oh, so now the difference is as follows. Some pools, they don't have gidudi, which means gidudi are walls. Gidudi, like a gudasik, good is a wall in Aramaic, guda, yeah? So some of the pools would have like an upright wall, more like the modern day pool, like that. You jump in and it's like that. Some of them were more primitive and more natural, and they would have like a slope, like more like you're going to the sea. Yeah, they would have like slopes on both sides. One side, both sides, you have a slope. So now, what's the difference? There are two reasons why to say that leis legidudi, the one that is upright, should be okay, possibly should be okay, even if the brecha that we found out is already osur is not okay. That brecha, that pool, is the one that's not okay because it has gidudi, meaning the one that has they had to go into the brecha, it's a slant, it's a slope. There are two issues, says Rashi. First of all, as you come in and out, you're like digging with your feet into the ground, like you come out of a river of the sea, right? And then you're creating a situation of megabel. You're mixing, interesting, I would say it's an gufa, or I don't know, I'm not sure. But Rashi says it's a problem because as you're digging in, you're actually taking some of the ground, mixing it with the water, and that's like kneading. Interesting. Yeah. Mashenkin, one that's upright, you just jump out, like a modern pool, like whoop, you jump out. Yeah. So there's no problem. It's okay. In other words, although I know the Brisa forbade one type of pool, I'm still leaving myself the option of maybe asking the one of Rabbi Abo was upright. So there's no chash of me digging in. Second reason, says Rashi, the one that is more upright and straight really looks more different to a river or the sea. The one that has the slanting in and out is more natural. So that's why they made the Xera, because it's similar to natural source of water, such as river or the sea. The one that's very nicely man-made, more like our pools, like straight, boom, boom, like that, it's more different. So maybe there you're allowed to swim on Shabbos, Taka. Therefore, I'm not sure. Maybe that was the pool of Rabbi Abo. And although the Brisa forbade the other one, maybe since Rabbi Abo swam in an upright one, straight one like that, maybe there it's allowed. So I still leave myself room for a question. I don't know. I know the people who are sick and they really have to swim mamish every day. They allow them to. But the meaning is not to swim on Shabbos. But I'm saying, as I always tell, ask your rabbi. It's not lechatchila. You're not supposed to swim on Shabbos. Other reasons, but that's the main business. Okay, comes Rab Zera, and now we're talking about sneas when it comes to washing. Rab Zera says Rab Zera, say the same person. Rabbi Abo, I saw Rabbi Abo, shaniach yodav keneged ponov shel mata. I saw that Rabbi Abo would place his hands against his ponov shel mata, against the Bris Milah, the aver. V'lo yodana inoga ilo inoga. I don't know if he touched it or didn't touch it. In other words, I know that he covered his, while he was, I don't know, showering, washing, he would put his hand over there for tznias, for reasons of tznias, mishum tznias. But I don't know if he touched the amma, maybe he touched his aver, and he wasn't concerned about touching the aver, which is a concern, as we're going to see now. More pshita deloy noga. Of course he didn't. Rabbi Abba wouldn't touch his aver. The Tanya, Rabbi Lezer oimer. Rabbi Lezer says, even if you hold the amma just in order to urinate, then it's a problem. It's such a problem. It's as if you brought mabul to the world. In other words, the punishment, there were many reasons for the mabul, for the mabul. We all know they were very porous, very promiscuous. And one of the things they used to do was moitzizera, levatolo, and that was the reason for the mabul. So if you do that, if you start touching over there, you may come to Zora. And therefore, for sure, it's also, it's not just also, it's a terrible thing. So how come you're asking me if Rabbi Abo touched it? Of course he didn't. Answers the Gemara, Omar Abaye, no, it's not so simple. The situation of Rabbi Abo is similar to the story of a halacha of boleshes. Boleshes, modern boleshes, yeah? Boleshes is, I think it's called a search squad in English. It's a bunch of soldiers who come in order to search. Search squad, right? I think so, yeah? Search group, a group of soldiers who are searching. And sometimes they get very violent, right? They search all over. Yeah, no, the KGB, the Nazis, fully. Yeah, they come in and they search. So what does that have to do with it? Let's see. Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah in Avodah Zarah, Ditnan. It says there in the Avodah Zarah, Dafing Ein Ein Aleph, Boleshes shenichnes ala'ir, a boleshes of goyish soldiers, yeah, gentle soldiers, they came into a town, into a Jewish town, yeah, and now, bishas shalom, if it's a time of peace, which means, let's say they are coming to search for something, but they're not very pressurized. Those soldiers are from the same country. In other words, these like American soldiers who are searching in American houses. So they feel at home. They feel at home. They're searching, but they're not scared of anybody else. They're not in foreign ground. They're not in the enemy's ground. And therefore, what? There's an issue here of yein nesech. So chaviyos ptuchos asuros. Let's say you come to the room after the soldiers were there, and you see a chavis that was open. Yeah, if it's open, it's very likely that those soldiers took some of the wine and they were menasachit to the Zorah. Even if they touched it, it's osur, but here it's the raisa. We're intensifying the isur. Yeah, we're talking here about that they took it and they made the lahav de la they whatever they picked it up in honor of their god, and therefore it's also the raisa to drink from that barrel. Why? In times of peace, they're not in a rush. So they go to people's houses, they take the wine, they make a whole nisuch, they drink it, whatever. So it's also stumois mutoris. The shenken, if the barrel is, if you find it closed, then you're allowed to drink the wine from the wine. Why? Because they're not such nice gentlemen, the soldiers, usually, even in a time of peace. If they opened it, they wouldn't reclose it. They're not, exactly friendly. Yeah. Now, however, that's in time of peace where they have time and tranquility. But b'shas milchama, in time of war, when let's say those soldiers are themselves running away from someone else, or they're running after someone else, they're mamish at war, they're searching, but they're also much more nervous and scared. So then even the open barrels are allowed, and we assume that they did not touch the barrel. Why? Because they don't have the time and the head space to be menasech. What does it mean? Why not? Alma. That is what do we learn from there? Alma, we see from here. Kevan de beiti loy menaschi. Because they're scared, they don't actually do nisuch hayayin to the getshke to the Avodah Zarah. Here too, Kevan de bois lo osi le'arhuri. Oh, here too, there is it sad to say by Rav Zera that Rabbi Abo did touch his aver. Why? Because he may not come to be meharher. Because he's scared. Soon we're going to see why he was scared. Because he was concerned and scared while he was in the river, Mimela, he's not going to come to think of it. A person starts touching, starts thinking, starts the Avera. But when you're scared, you're not in the capacities to start doing shtuyot, doing nonsense. What is he scared of? What's the fear? Biatuta. What's the fear over here? And says the Gemara, Biatuta de Nahara. He's scared of the river. He's scared to drown. He's in the river, it's not so safe. He's going in and out. He may slip inside. He may drown, and therefore, Biatuta de Nahar, the fear of the Nahar may be enough of a reason to allow him to touch the aver. And that's a question. That's a suffix. Maybe in such a case, shouldn't be concerned not to touch the aver. Eini, frag the Gemara, now we're going to see the opposite. Now prepare yourself to see just the opposite, that apparently there's a maila of dafka, yes, exposing your aver in the mikveh or in the bath. Unbelievable. You're telling me that Rabbi Abba was so tzanua and he covered his aver while he was washing let's say in the river? On the contrary, if you put your hand against and you cover your pon of shalmata, then it's as if you are koifer, because it looks as if you're ashamed. In the bris of Avraham Avinu, you should be a proud Jew and you should have dafka your aver exposed. So I saw here in the parish, I don't remember Shemu. Of course, we have ourselves covered. Mishnah Berurah says even inside your house you have to be properly dressed. Masha'enken, that's when you don't have to be naked. But if you have to be naked, then you don't have to be extra frum and cover your aver, because that already shows you're ashamed of being a bris of Avraham Avinu. If you're ready in the bathroom, you're ready in the mikveh, then don't cover yourself, because then you show as if you're ashamed of the bris. So that poses a question on Rabbi Abo. Why did he cover himself? Because of tznius. He's gaining tznius, but he's losing Jewish pride, of the aver, of the Bris Milah, of the Bris Milah. And says Gemara lo kasha. It's not difficult. Depends if he's going down the river or salik is going up the river, which means when he goes down into the river, in the river there are less people. The river, there are more people up on the river bank, or the bank of the river, there are more people, and down there, there's less people. And therefore, we're really fighting here. We're trying to fight to find a balance between tznius and kilu lack of tznius to show the bris milah. And therefore, when he goes down and hardly anybody sees him, then he would have it exposed, because then people don't see him. There's no idea of tznius. So for himself, he's showing it. To remember, I'm a son of Avraham Avinu. I have the bris milah. But when he goes up to the people and everybody's up there, the more people up there, because that's not sanua, because everyone on the river, on the bank of the river, will see him. Then he goes covered. Then tznius overrides the pride of the bris. Yeah, kiho, just like. This is not so simple. We're going to see three different hanhogas over here. Kiho derova shachi. Similar to the idea that Rove, when he was washing in the river or wherever, Rove would actually bow down a little bit, be a bit crouched, a bit like, stooped when he was in the river. Why? Because Rove did cover the Aver. Sounds like both in and out, not like Rabbi Abba, not like the solution we're suggesting. But then the Meforshim in the back of the Gemara, they say that he didn't mamash cover himself, but he didn't go upright. It's like a compromise. He went a little bit stooped to show that he's not mamash showing the Aver to the whole world. On the other hand, he didn't cover it because that shows he's ashamed of the bris. Rabbi Zera Zakif, Rabbi Zera Davka was more into being proud of the Bris Milah, and therefore Rabbi Zera would go upright both in and out all the time. Rabbi Zera would have to be upright because the gaiva of the Bris Milah. Rabbanon, the Be'er of Ashi, Rabbanon of the Yeshiva of Rav Ashi, they do as we just said now. Ki kanachti zakfi, ki kasalki shachi. They did exactly as we said. When they go down into the river, there's no Indian of tznius because nobody hardly ever sees me. When I go down into the river, then they would go upright. They would go like that, no tznius. At least for ourselves, we should show we are proud bailim of the Bris Milah. But when they go up, they would crouch, they would go more stooped when they go up, again, to be more tsanua and not mamish go, you don't have to show it to the whole world. So then they would go like more, stooped up. Okay, so that's halacha as far as I know. Yeah. It says in halacha when you go down into the mikveh, then you don't cover. When you go up, you cover. Something like that, like with a hand or Abzera. Let's continue more regarding Rabzera and the Beis HaMerchatz. More halachas and hanhagas to do with the Beis HaMerchatz. And here we come with the question: shall you do aliyah or not? Oh, this is a good one for Satmar Chasidim. Rabbi Zera haveka mishtamit medav Yehuda. Rabbi Zera, the same Rabbi Zera which we spoke about before, he lived in Bavel. He used to live in Bavel. Haveka mishtamit medav Yehuda. He would always try to avoid and evade and run away from Rav Yehuda. Why? The Baal Meseklar Israel. Because here Rabbi Zera, he wanted to make aliyah to Eretz Israel, to go up to Eretz Israel. And Rabbi Yehuda was anti-Aliyah. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you stay in Lakewood. Oops, in Bavel. Yeah, he says you stay here. What? Oops, yeah, yeah. So now he said, no, don't go to Eretz Israel. Why? Because what did Rabbi Yehuda think? Not to go to Eretz Israel. Why? The Omar, because Rabbi Yehuda said, the Omar Rabbi Yehuda, Kol ha'oyle mi Bavel le'Eretz Israel oiver be'aseh. Wow. Whoever goes up from Bavel, not necessarily from Mansi, whoever goes from Bavel up to Eretz Israel is breaking an aseh. I don't know, the Oraisa from the Novi, it's mamash osur. Why? Shneimar, it says in the Novi, it says the Novi told Bnei Israel, it says in the Novi here in Yirmiyahu, it says, Bavelu yuv'u, v'shama hiyu. Yirmiyahu told Bnei Israel, you should be led to Bavel, you naughty people, because of the verse, and you should stay there. You tell the kid, stay in your room, stay in the corner, and stay there until I tell you otherwise. So they have to fulfill the punishment of being in Bavel, and you're not allowed to go up to Eretz Yisrael from Bavel. That's what Rabbi Yehuda said. Excuse me, says Rashi. So how come Rabbi Zera argued? How come you make aliyah? Says Rashi, Rabbi Zera said that pasuk applies to the kelim of Beis HaMikdash, not to people. I don't know the whole story there. I didn't see the Navi today, I admit. They say, no, people are supposed to do aliyah, make aliyah, says Rabbi Zera. Who's supposed to stand Bavel? The Klei Mikdash. We're not supposed to daven. That's Xera. Interesting. Yeah. So Lamaisa, there was a machloikis. Rab Zera, I guess, was more like a Talmud. So Rab Zera said, I know that if I'm going to tell him I'm going to Eretz Yisrael, he's going to give me over the head. I want to avoid that. Yeah. Omar, however, before Rav Yehuda, before Rab Zera made Aliyah, he said, Azil, I want to go to Rav Yehuda. The Eshma Minei Milsa, I want to hear a Dvar Torah from him. The Aisi, the Asak, and then I'll go and make Aliyah. No, the last time before JFK, last time we're going to go to his shir in his Bris Milah to hear, the last tazach, the last thing, and then I'll go up to Eretz Yisrael. Don't tell anybody. So now Ozal, he went to Rabbi Yehuda's Bris Midrash, and Ashkeche Dekai Bani, he wasn't in Bris Midrash. No, that day, punkt, he was in the Bani, in the Bes HaMerchatz. And he heard. Now, Rab Zera heard Rab Yehuda telling Leshame to his Shamish, to his servant, all the Maroim had Shamoshim, they had servants. And he told him, saying, Aviuli neter, bring me, neter is like some kind of sand which is to wash the hair, olden day shampoo, yeah? Bring me, Aviuli neter, bring me some kind, it's like a sandy kind of thing they used to wash the hair with. Aviuli masrek, bring me the comb, to comb my hair, whatever. And then that he said in Hebrew. If you notice, Aviuli neter, aviuli masrek is in Hebrew. Masrek is in modern Hebrew. It's a comb, you know that, yeah? And then he spoke Aramaic, and he said, Pitchu pumaychu. He told the other people in the bathhouse, he gave them instructions. Pitchu pumaychu, open your mouth, the apiku hevla, and take out, exhale the har air, the ashtu mimaya the beibani, and drink some of the water of the bathtub. I guess it was clean enough. Drink the water, exhale the air, and drink some of the bath water. And that's all he heard him saying. He did not hear Dvar Torah, but as the Gemara, the famous Gemara says in Sukkah, I don't know, somewhere in Sukkah, it says even Sichas Chulin of Talmidei Chachamim, you can learn a lot from. Here, Choshev Talmidei Chacham speaking, even in Yonah Lamazda, you can learn a lot from there. And here's the one example. Omar says Rab Zera bat Rav Yehuda, Ilmole bati el lishmo dover zeh dai. Even if I just came to hear these few lines, these few sentences he said about Bes HaMerchatz, that alone is a great musar for me to learn. Frag the Gemara, what's the big limud he had over there? Frag the Gemara, Bishlama haviu neter, haviu masrek. He spoke in Hebrew when he said, bring me the shampoo, bring me the comb. Kamash malan, the chiddush is, as we saw previously, dvorim shel choil mutar l'omer b'loshen kodesh. If the content of the sentence is chol, is mundane and regular, shampoo and whatever, and comb, allowed to say it, Lashon HaKodesh. Yeah, you are in the mikveh and you talk to an Israeli, you talk to me, you talk to Akiva. Yeah, you want to talk to us in Hebrew, you say, Tavili Masrek, Tavili Magevet, Bevakasha. You're allowed to say that. It's Lashon HaKodesh, Masrek and this. You're allowed to say it because the content is chol. Shenkin in English, you can't say Divrei Torah, right? Now, so that's one thing you can learn from that. Secondly, Mud, Hitchu Pumaychu Va'apiku Hevla. When he said, open your mouth and exhale, bring out the hot air from your mouth, the steam, Nami Kedeshmuel. That also taught us not Dvar Torah, but it taught us refuah. We know that Chazal, because they love us so much, they always teach us besides halacha, also Eitz HaTov Kamash Malan. Yeah, good advice in health, in finances. So the health advice over here is, Domo Shmuel, the Shmuel was a doctor, you know that. Shmuel was a doctor, he says what? Hevla mapik hevla, which means when you bring out the hot air from your mouth, the steam, the vapor from your mouth, that takes out the hevel from your body from the perspiration. The bad heat you have in your body comes out as you exhale. When you exhale the hot air, then all the bad, whatever you have, the bad heat that you have in the body, like perspiration, goes out. And that's good health-wise. Ella, but one question I have. Ashtumai the bay bani, my mal yusa. But the third sentence, the third advice he gave, drink from the water of the bani, of the bath. What's the advantage of that? What's good about that? Titania. Now we're going to see that there is a ma'ila. Yes, there's a brisa that supports that. The brisa says all kinds of advice regarding health. Ochal v'lo shosa. A person ate, but he did not drink. Then what? Achilosoi dam. Wow. It's as if he ate blood. Wow. Why is it as if he ate blood? That starts the beginning of choyle me'ayin. In other words, when you don't drink after you ate, then it's not good. That may come, they say not to drink together with the food, the Rambam says, and I know some health people say that, but you have to drink before, after. Actually, the dietitian told me to drink after the meal is good, yeah, before and after. So you have to have some liquids with the solids at some point. Otherwise, it can start the cholim, a disease of the stomach. It's not good for your stomach to just have dry food without liquids. Now, another piece of advice: ochal v'lo holach daled amas. A person ate and did not walk at least daled amas, says Rashi, koidim shishin, before you sleep. It's very unhealthy to eat and right away go to sleep. That's really unhealthy, as the Gemara says, and as we know today. And if you do that, achilosa merkeves, the food starts rotting in your stomach without being digested properly. If you want the food to digest, you have to walk a bit after the meal, after the cholent, after the nighting. Don't go to shlof straight away, because then the food doesn't get digested properly, like rots, instead of being digested the right way. And that's the beginning of bad smell from your mouth. It causes bad odor, bad breath from your mouth. Now, the third thing, let's say you have to be, go to toilet. Yeah, you have to be excused, as they say, and you eat while you have to go. That's so unhealthy. It's as if you start heating a tanur without cleaning the afer from before. Basically, you're cooking something in a dirty dish, in a dirty tanur. That's very unhealthy, very unhygienic. Yeah, you're bringing the food into a stomach which is still dirty. Yeah, that creates zuhama in the entire body, not just the mouth. It's even worse. Rashi says your entire body will always be like dirty, like bad smelling. Here we come to our piece of advice. We finally now come to the piece of advice of Rav Yehuda to the Talmidim. If you drink in the hot water, but you wash. I'm sorry. You wash in hot water, but you don't drink from the hot water that you wash in. Interesting. Yeah, you're like a tanur, you're like an oven that was only heated from the outside, not heated from the inside. In other words, he believes that the heat should be balanced. Both the heat that's hitting your body from the outside and the inside should be together. Don't be hot on the outside and the inside. No, so have the same temperature, more or less, of the hot water in and out. That's the way. Now, don't try that in the mikveh Friday afternoon, please. We're talking probably very clean water. Yeah. Now, rochatz bechamin v'lo nishtatef b'tzoinen. Let's a person wash himself properly with hot water inside the bathtub. V'lo nishtatef. Nishtatef is the word which we saw on Shabbos. We didn't see it together. Is basically like to shower. They would do that in all times in the bathtubs. They would wash inside, and then afterwards take a bucket and like kederech shower would like wash themselves with the bathtub. That's lishtatef, like lishtof, to wash. Yeah. So if you only use the hot water for bathing, and you did not shower yourself afterwards with cold water, that's not good. It's like a metal, like an iron kind of vessel, which was placed in the fire in order to create it with a fire. But afterwards, they don't put it in the cold water. When you create, to mold, how's it called? To solder. When you create a metal clean, you first put it in heat, and then you put it in cold water to solder it, to strengthen it, right? And that's not good. So if you only have hot water, not cold water, it's not balanced again, it's not healthy. Rochatz v'lo isach. If the person washed and he did not smear himself afterwards with oil, afterwards you have to put some cream, some oil. Doime le maim al gav chavis. That seems, again, it's not good. It's as if you have water on top of the chavis, says Rashi. Al shulav v'tzdodov shenem mechnasim letoichoi. Which means, yeah, let's say you have water, you have a barrel, chavis, you want the water to go inside. But if you only have it on the outside, the barrel is not full. In other words, when you wash yourself, but you didn't smear yourself with oil afterwards, whichever goodness of the hot water doesn't really come in. Like the sicha really brings it in, like the water should come into the chavis, into the pores. Interesting. So that now we understand the Gemara in Daf Mem Mud Aleph they used to do all these things. If you learned it in Shabbos, they would have the bath, the proper bathing, and then they would have mishtatef, then would have sicha, bekitzer, a whole maisa. Yeah, they would have. Today we don't do that. I guess we're not as health conscious. Yeah, we don't have time. But basically, that's the right way to do the whole business. Okay, says the Heilige Mishnah. Back to Bishul. Back to Bishul. I wish I had the whiteboard. I don't have time now to set it, but we'll manage without. Yeah, we have to use our graphic imagination over here. So up until now, we learned about different kelim, such as kira or tanur, right? Now we're going to talk about kelim that that are there for that used to serve as hot water urn. We all have our urns. Baruch Hashem, we have electricity, right? Very nice. In the olden days, you didn't have electricity before Thomas Edison. Then what? They had electricity, they did not use it. So then they would have all types of contraptions of devices where you would have like a compartment of coals. Yeah, there were hot coals, right? Somewhere in the compartment. Where is going to be the issue? Yeah, and then we have a question of first we're going to follow Rashi, then we'll see some Tosfos. Basically, we have an issue again of using a device on Shabbos where the coals are there, right? And sometimes we're going to see that even if you raked out the coals, there's still problem to use it. Let's see. Says the Mishnah, Muliar Hagoruf, Shoisin Himenu b'Shabbos. The Mishnah talks about two types of kelim. One is called muliar and one antichi. A muliar that's been raked out of its coals, you're allowed to drink from its water on Shabbos. I'm going to explain soon. Antichi, however, a similar device called antichi, afal pi shegrufa, ein shoisin himena. Muliar is good. Antichi, even if you raked out the coals, you're not allowed to drink from the water of the hot water of the antichi on Shabbos. According to Rashi, by the way, this Mishnah has at least 5 different explanations in Rishonim, besides Tosfos. Rashi, like at least for others, pshat. We're going to follow Rashi for now. Basically, muliar, okay, just use imagination, it's not so hard. Muliar is, you have like an urn, hot water urn, and it's made out of, that's another shaila, what it's made out of, that's the choshes, cheres, but let's for now ignore the material. And on the side, on the outside, you have on the wall, the outer wall of that muliar, you have all compartments for gecholim, for hot coals, okay? As long as the coals are there, you can't use it, you become to rake them. You need to stoke them. But even the muliar, once you raked out the coals, then it's okay. You're allowed to drink from the water. Why? Says Rashi has the whole sheet that this has to do with the tmona. And therefore, because the heat of the muliar, once it's raked out, is not so hot. It's not continuing to cook more. It just saves, for now, preserves the heat, and it slowly goes down. For now, even though for now it preserves the heat, let's say at the beginning of Shabbos up to a point, and therefore at that point, it's not called that it's adding, it's maximum, it's only preserving the heat, and therefore it's like hatmana be'ena ma'asifevel, and therefore you're allowed to drink from that water. That's okay. Masha'enkin antichi. Antichi, there are 2 explanations. I'll just follow now Pshat in the Mishnah. Antichi is, according to one shot, very similar. Elamai antichi, the coals were under. It was like a double bottom, yeah, like a double layer, like like the suitcases, the detective stories, right? There's a double bottom, right? And in that double bottom there, the compartment, that's where the gecholim were. So that's much hotter because when the gecholim are underneath and not on the side, they're not affected by the air of the outside world. The more ensconced, they're more safe and secure under the kli, and therefore the heat is more preserved. And therefore, even if you rake it out, it still keeps cooking. Wow. The heat still goes on so strong it can cook water, and therefore that's called like moisty favel, and that's a problem to use in Shabbos to use the water. That's Shitas Rashi. He doesn't say outright that Mono moisty favel, but it's mashma that that's what he means. That's also, by the way, I never told you, your brother noticed it, that Rashi, I shouldn't mix up, Rashi connects always Shehiyah and Atmona. There's no time now to explain, but Rashi learns that both his Surim are very connected. So Rashi is very good L'shitosai. Tosfos argues. Correct the Gemara. Let's see the Gemara first. What is this muliar agorf business? What does it mean? Seder told you, Tana, ma'imi bifnim, v'gecholim b'chutz. The water is inside the urn, and the gecholim are kept in the compartment on the outside, vertically like this, and therefore it's not super hot. Once it's raked out, that's it. Doesn't produce it, and it's good. Antichi. Now, Antichi is a machloitis. Rabba Omar Bei Kiri. Rabba says that Antichi is basically a kira. Now we're going to talk about materials, as I promised you. Rabba says Antichi is a kira. What's a kira? A kira is a double oven made out of cheres, and because it's made out of cheres, then it does not. Then the kiri now made out of cheres, plus the fact that kira is something they used all week long. Kira was they used to use it all week long, not only on Shabbos. If you have water in the kira, yeah. Although according to this opinion, the kira, the coals of the kiri are on the outside, just like the mulyar. So why is the kiri bad? Why did the Mishnah say that kiri, which is antichi, you're not allowed to use? Says Rashi for two reasons. Because you're using it all week long. First of all, it has a thick layer. The wall itself has a thick layer made out of cheres, and the thickness of the wall preserves more heat. And also use it all week long. It's not your Shabbos urn. Right? Your Shabbos urn is stored somewhere, and then you take it out into the, right? Yeah, that's what I do every Friday. That is mulyar. Mulyar is your Shabbos kettle, and it's only used on Shabbos. How much heat does it have? You only warm it on Friday, one day. Mashenken kira has a cumulative heat of a whole week. And therefore, even though they look more or less the same, but the kira, because it's thicker and also has been already heated up cumulatively 6 days already, it's so hot that even if you rake out the stuff on the outside, it still produces heat. That's one shita. That is what Rabbah says. Now, and that's why it's bad. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Omar Bei Dudi. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says this is a dudi. A dudi is a dude. What's a dude? You know the dude is the dude shemesh. Dude really is what? It's a pot. Dude is a big pot. This is a big pot, and it has what? As I told you, double bottom. Yeah, it has one compartment on the bottom, and therefore, because it's in the bottom, therefore it preserves the heat much more. Oh, now says the Gemara, Man de Omer Bei Dudi, the one of Nachman Yitzchak who says that the one of Bei Dudi, meaning it's a big pot with a bottom where the coals are stored in the compartment underneath. Kol sheken beikiri. If beidud is usher, the kira, which is even hotter, because the kira is first of all made out of thicker walls, and the kira is also used all week long. So if beidud is a problem, of course beikiri, the one which is the kira all week long here, of course it's usher. Of course it preserves the heat in a way that should concern us. Uman domer beikiri. But according to Man Omer that says that translates the term antichi, they're arguing about what antichi means. The one who says that antichi, which is osir, is beikiri, says yes, a kira has the 6 days accumulative experience, yeah, and thickness. Of course, it's osir. But dude, the dude just because the compartment is underneath, it's not that different. It's also just for Shabbos. So because it's underneath, that I don't sell so chomer, I would allow that. Tani kavased Rav Nachman, a brayse to support Rav Nachman, bar Yitzchak, antichi afal pi shegufo ktuma ein shoysin himena. The antichi, you don't drink from the antichi even though it's grufo ktuma, even though it's raked out or covered. Mipnei shenechoishto mechamamta. Oh, what do you see? You see it's nechoishes. You see that it's not made out of kira. Excuse me. Kira is made out of cheres. Here we mentioned one nechoishes. He believes it's a pot. We said it's a pot with a double barrel. A pot is made out of nechoishes, of metal. Mashenkin kiri is made out of cheres. So we see that Rav Nachman was right. So we see lechumra. We see over here, yeah, that even the pot which has a bottom compartment for the gicholim, that too is also to use on Shabbos, even if you rake it out. We're concerned that the heat stays too much. Kol shekain, the kira with the compartment on the outside is definitely osir. What's the only one that's mutter? According to everybody, that's the mulyar. On the mulyar, they never argued. What's the mulyar? Mulyar is the one that is only used for Shabbos. It doesn't have thick walls. It only has a compartment on the outside. Once you rake it out, it surely, slowly but surely goes down and it starts reheating. That's Shita Sashi. Now, the Tosfos, I don't have time to go inside. Tosfos says, Mapitom, Atmono. Tosfos is completely Cholok on Rashi. He says, we're not talking about Atmono over here. Tosfos says something completely different. He says, the Mulyar and Antichi, you take the water and you pour them into the wine. Should you be concerned that they're Yad Soledis or not? Should you be concerned that they still have cooking ability or not on Shabbos? We're not talking about Shia Tamana, we're talking about real cooking. Yeah, in other words, I don't want to start my Yad Soledis test right now. What should I assume? So the general assumption, the Chazaka is by Mulyar, the water are usually not hot enough to cook the wine. I mix the water with the wine. That's what they used to do all the time. It was very common back then. Yeah, wine was too strong. So if the water comes from Mulyar, it's okay. They're assumed not to be so hot. Right from the beginning, then just about keep warm, like the thermos flask something. Mashe'enken, the antichi is assumed yes to maintain the heat to the level. If you have water out of the antichi, beware, most probably the heat was so well preserved that it has the ability to cook the wine, which is raw. And that's the problem. That's this. Again, there are many shittas, but that's Pashup Pshat. Tomorrow we're going to have again big Yesodis, not only about Bishul, tomorrow we'll have big Yesodis about Bichlal, Doversh, and Miskaven. Tomorrow's one of, maybe we'll see some Tosfos, major Omut tomorrow about the concept of Doversh and Miskaven, Rabbi and Ram Shimon. That's one of the main sources of Doversh and Miskaven, is Memalef from the base, M.A. Thank you to everybody on YouTube who watches us. Thank you to everyone who came here. Hatzlacha, Bracha, and Kol Tuv. Good. Thank you very much. Kol hakavod for